Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I would now like to call the May 9th, 2023 Longmont City Council regular session to order. You can view this live stream this meeting's being live streamed at the city's YouTube channel, also at the Longmont Public Media channel, longmontpublicmedia.org/watch, or on Comcast channels 8 or 880. May we have a roll call, please?
Absolutely. Mayor Peck.
Present.
Councilmember Hidalgo-Faring.
Here.
Councilmember Martin.
Here.
Councilmember McCoy. Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez. Councilmember Waters. Councilmember Yarbrough.
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. We have Councilors McCoy and Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez have things they could not get out of tonight, so they're excused from council. As a reminder to the public, anyone wishing to speak at first call public invited to be heard will need to add his or her name to the list outside the council chambers. Only those on the list will be invited to speak at the first public invited to be heard. Speakers who do not place their names on this list will have the opportunity to speak during final call public invited to be heard. Anyone wishing to speak on second reading or public hearing items are asked to add their name to the speaker list for each particular item. And each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. You need to list your name and address. We need to approve the minutes. April 20, the pledge. So you got everything up front? Yes. Now we're going to say the pledge. Can I have a motion to approve the April 25th, 2023 minutes?
So moved.
So those minutes have been moved by Councilor Hidalgo-Faring, seconded by Councilor Yarbrough. Let's vote. And that carries unanimously. We're at agenda revisions and submissions of documents. Do we have any revisions to the agenda? Dawn?
I don't have any, Mayor.
Okay. Are there any motions to direct the city's manager to add agenda items to future agendas? Councilor Waters.
Thanks, Mayor Peck. This is, can I ask a question and then decide whether or not direction is appropriate? And I think the direction probably is for Harold. We chatted about this. I just want to make certain I'm clear. We've read the last couple of days in the Longmont Leader an article about a lawsuit filed by a developer building just south of Walmart, as I recall. The issue we read about was the effect or consequence of our decision based on recommendation from the Water Committee to change the fee in lieu payment from $18,000 per acre foot to $48,000 per acre foot last March, right? March of 22, not 23. And the night we did that, I raised a question about the flexibility you had to waive that fee for housing projects that kind of fit help move our agenda in terms of housing inventory or to help meet our objectives. And what we were told that night it would take an ordinance to do that. And I've a couple times since then mentioned when we've been looking at fees, are we going to come back to that ordinance or to that I think it was by resolution we changed the payment in lieu. I don't recall I think it was resolution. Are we going to come back and see an ordinance that gives you the flexibility you need to keep the city either out of a lawsuit or to help waive a fee to accomplish our housing objectives? And I chose not to move, to give direction to staff. But based on what I read and what we've learned since, I'm really not satisfied with just, moving on without some clarity about when we might, if this is not something you want, it would be helpful for me to know. But we ended up in a legal dispute because of what happened in the days following that. And I'm not, that's going to, people in the loop, there's going to be balls dropped. I'm not concerned about that. What I am concerned is putting you in a position where when you need to and want to, you can negotiate that fee and take it back, or somewhere between 18,000 and 48, to help us accomplish what we're trying to with our housing initiative or objectives without shooting ourselves in the foot, which sounds to me like it happened in this case. So without getting into the details of it, is that an ordinance and that flexibility something you would like?
Yeah, as we talked about it, associated with the attainable housing piece. So we have that flexibility in affordable housing.
But not in attainable
Not
housing.
in attainable housing. And so as we talked when we gave you a number of options
Yeah.
on fee waivers, Becky's been working on that, and we want to bring that for
So is that in the queue?
Yes,
Do we,
that's,
you've got a lot on your plate, Becky
Right.
has, I'm not
Yeah.
trying to ramp this up or get it out of sequence. But give me some idea, so I'll put it in my tickler file, and so I don't bug you about it.
so what I would like to do is see where we are on the other components on the attainable fee waivers, because I want all of that to come
Yeah.
as one. And so I don't know where they are specifically on the next phase of this. But I can definitely send an email to council and let you know where we are and give you a timeframe.
I'd appreciate that. Thank you, Mayor Peck. That's it.
Sure. So I have two things. First of all, because the Capstone Project kids are here from Silver Creek, I want to make an announcement that Saturday at 10 o'clock in the council chambers is the Youth Summit, and we are asking for youth to help us figure out, or give us ideas, basically, is how you would like the Metro District funds that are commonly known as the Bronco funds spent. So any input would be great. You can register online, you can just show up. So again, council chambers Saturday, 10 o'clock. And the other thing is I would like to augment this agenda to remove from the general business the 2023-23 ordinance discussing the Longmont Fair Campaign Practices Act, because I would like a full council here when we discuss that. So that is taken off the agenda for tonight. City manager report.
No report, Mayor, Council.
Thank you. So we do have, on our special reports and presentations, 3 proclamations. So the first proclamation is International Compost Awareness Week. It's a proclamation designating May 7th through the 13th, 2023 as International Compost Awareness Week in Longmont, Colorado. Whereas the city of Longmont is committed to reducing landfill waste and diverting organic waste through composting as specified in the city's Zero Waste Resolution and Sustainability Plan. And whereas composting is an effective form of waste reduction, and since organic materials make up approximately 30% of the material going to landfills, composting is one of the primary methods communities use to reach waste diversion goals. And whereas composting returns organic resources to the soil, promotes water conservation during extreme drought or flooding conditions, reduces water consumption, stores carbon in soils, reducing climate impact, and is a proven method of decreasing erosion and dependence on chemical fertilizers. And whereas composting creates jobs and infrastructure for cities and states who implement composting programs, and these communities, through their local governments, highway departments, soil conservation services, and public works professionals, have significantly positively impacted clean water, soil, climate change, and landfill diversion by using compost for public works projects. And whereas the Compost Research and Education Foundation, along with countries around the world, have declared the first full week of May to be the annual International Compost Awareness Week. And this year's theme for Healthier Soil, Healthier Food, Compost, highlights low compost has a role in helping feed the world by making our soil healthier, which produces healthier food. Now therefore, I, Joan Peck, Mayor, by virtue of the authority vested in me, and the City Council of the City of Longmont, do hereby proclaim the week of May 7th through the 13th, 2023, as International Compost Awareness Week in Longmont, and invite all citizens in the community to learn about and share the benefits of composting and healthy soil practices now and year-round. So I see our composting group over here. Naomi, would you like to say a few words? No.
Mayor Peck and council members, I am honored to be here today on behalf of Sustainable Resilient Longmont and our Zero Waste Action Team to receive this proclamation in recognition of International Compost Awareness Week. Our Zero Waste team has helped promote composting signups, supported local policy work like last year's Zero Waste Resolution and this year's Universal Recycling Ordinance, and held events and presentations about the 6 R's: rethink, refuse, reduce, reuse, recycle, and rot, which represents composting. We are grateful to live in a community that cares about composting and waste diversion, and to have a city council that is addressing our zero waste goals through policy. Tonight's proclamation is another community initiative that highlights the many benefits of composting and demonstrates our shared commitment to the use of composting to achieve our city's zero waste goals. With recent changes in what types of organic waste our commercial compost manufacturer in Keensburg is accepting from Front Range communities, this year's International Compost Awareness Week is the perfect time to focus on developing regional composting solutions that will truly serve our needs and help us meet our waste diversion goals. We are advocating for a publicly owned regional facility that can process all our organic waste, something that the entire Front Range would benefit from. This would provide a local solution for our composting needs, eliminating the long and wasteful trip to and from Keensburg, while also providing the opportunity for us to create better systems for waste processing that could properly handle a range of compostable materials, focused on the public good rather than commercial profits. We invite Council to join us in harnessing the energy of this moment and working with us and surrounding communities to advance a publicly owned regional composting facility. If any community members want to be a part of this effort, we encourage you to write our county commissioners in support of constructing such a facility to serve our residents. Thank you so much for this proclamation and your commitment to diverting organic waste and improving our composting in Longmont.
Naomi, can you give us your name and the organization you're with?
Yes, sorry.
That's fine.
Naomi Kurland with Sustainable Resilient Longmont.
Thank you. Would your group like a group picture?
We'd love
With
one.
us?
Yes,
Okay.
please. Thank you.
Y'all are prepared, signs.
The next proclamation is a proclamation designating the week of May 14th through the 20th, 2023 as National Police Week, and further designating May 15th, 2023 as Peace Officers Memorial Day in Longmont, Colorado. Whereas the Congress and President of the United States have designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week in which it falls as National Police Week. And whereas the members of the Longmont Police Department play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the residents of Longmont, Colorado, and whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of their law enforcement agencies. And whereas it is essential that members of our law enforcement agencies recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression. And whereas the Boulder County Regional Peace Officer Memorial Service will be held at 4 p.m. on May 15th, 2023 at the Longmont Civic Center. Now therefore, I, Joan Peck, by virtue of the authority vested in me and the City Council of the City of Longmont, call upon all residents of Longmont and upon all patriotic, civic, and educational organizations to observe the week of May 14th through the 20th, 2023 as National Police Week, and join in commemorating law enforcement officers past and present who have dedicated their service to our community. I further call upon all residents of Longmont to join us to honor the law enforcement officers who, through their courageous deeds, have made the ultimate sacrifice in serving their service to their community, or have been disabled in the performance of duty at the ceremony observing Peace Officers Memorial Day on Monday, May 15th, 2023.
Mayor, Council, thank you for the proclamation. We appreciate your support from the police department. I can definitely speak for everybody when I say that. The memorial that is Monday coming up in the mall here will be a very nice event that will include the Boulder County Sheriff's Office and the City of Boulder Police Department, along with dignitaries from each of those agencies, along with Longmont, of course. And we'll be honoring 2 fallen Colorado officers who passed away in 2022. So I thank you for the support.
Thank you. Would you care for a picture with us?
We would love one.
Okay.
And we're going to get Miss Carrie Adams to take it. I know her person.
Our next proclamation is a proclamation designating the month of May as Archaeological and Historic Preservation Month in Longmont, Colorado. Whereas historic preservation is an effective tool for revitalizing neighborhoods, fostering local pride, encouraging economic growth, and maintaining community character while enhancing livability. And whereas archaeological and historic preservation is relevant for communities across the nation, both urban and rural, and for Americans of all ages, all walks of life, and all backgrounds. And whereas it is important to celebrate the role of history and archaeology in our lives and the contributions made by dedicated individuals in helping to preserve the tangible aspects of heritage that has shaped us as a people. And whereas the Historic Preservation Commission supports Archaeological and Historic Preservation Month in Longmont for May 2023. Now therefore, I, Joan Peck, Mayor, by virtue of the authority vested in me and the City Council of the City of Longmont, do hereby proclaim the month of May as Archaeological and Historic Preservation Month in Longmont, Colorado. Hello.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name's Steve Lane. I'm the Chair of the Historic Preservation Commission here in town, and I very much appreciate you taking the time to make this proclamation. I do think as we grow and evolve as a city, that understanding where we came from is as important as where we're heading. So I very much appreciate that. For this, basically as a way to kind of celebrate and honor this month, the Historic Preservation Commission would like to highlight the Tower of Compassion in the Kanemoto, in basically Kanemoto Park and Southmore Park neighborhood. I'm sure you're all familiar with that. It's a 5-story pagoda that was donated by the Kanemoto family in 1973, which in fact makes it 50 years old, which doesn't seem that long ago, but and therefore eligible to be listed on the National Register and as a historic landmark locally. So we'd like to pursue that. I'll take just a couple of quick minutes. Some pretty interesting information. There are 5 levels of the tower, and the first is love, represents the foundation of compassion. The second level signifies empathy. The third level is understanding. The fourth is gratitude. And the top level is the virtue of giving selflessly of oneself. And I think those are pretty important things to keep in mind in this time that we're in too. So obviously there's a pretty rich history of Japanese in Longmont, and what we'd like you to do is to support staff. We'd like to pursue a cultural resource survey of that property and move it towards, as I mentioned, a local landmark and a National Historic designation as well. So we just appreciate your support in that endeavor. Thank you.
This sounds totally appropriate.
I think this is kind of a win-win for everybody.
Yes. Would you like a picture?
I'll respectfully decline. It's a
Okay.
busy night, and you've already made a couple trips, so thank you very much. Your support is more than enough. Thank you.
So we're now at the first call, public invited to be heard. Remember that we need your name and address, and you have 3 minutes. The first one. Is it on here? Not. Oh, I missed it. Thank you, Counselor Waters. Quarterly report from LEDP, and I saw Aaron sitting there, so.
I threw you off, right, sitting in the audience?
Yes, I wasn't quite sure.
The first measure of my success will be if I can get the presentation up.
Hooray.
Good evening, Mayor Peck, members of City Council. I'm Erin Fosdick, and I'm the newly appointed President and CEO of the Longmont Economic Development Partnership. And I'm here to present our first quarterly report, although we're well into the second quarter. I wanted to take just a minute, partially for me, but for some of the council members that may be a bit newer. Obviously, one of them isn't here, but I'll still stick with the program. The Longmont Economic Development Partnership is really tasked with leading our comprehensive, collaborative economic development strategy, and this is really to promote Longmont's economic health. And we are a true public-private partnership, so we really value our relationship with the city, school district, Front Range, the county, lots of partners. We really are a true public-private partnership. I know that term gets tossed around a lot, but we're very proud of the work that we do with the private sector and with folks in the public sector like the city. We really are looking at making sure Longmont's economy is vibrant and inclusive, and we do this through collective impact. And I know you've heard what collective impact is, but I think it's so important that it bears worth repeating. In order to achieve our collective vision, we really are aligning organizations, people, and resources to implement our shared economic development strategy, which is Advance Longmont 2.0. We're looking at those shared problems that our community might face, and we're coming up with collaborative ways to solve those problems. And it's our job at LEDP to help coordinate those efforts, and we serve as that backbone organization that's really facilitating the work that we're doing as a community. Also worth repeating in terms of collective impact, we are really focused on growth, prosperity, and inclusion. And I think we all know that everyone in Longmont succeeds. We all do better when we all do better. And so we're really looking at how do we make sure everyone in our community has equal access to participate in our economy. That might be as workers, entrepreneurs, or consumers. Making sure that people in our community have the ability to build wealth, advance in their jobs and careers, and invest in their futures and their families' futures. And really, everyone's able to contribute to business growth through innovation and job creation. And we're doing that through our economic development strategy, again, which is Advance Longmont 2.0. And I know many of you have been involved in this throughout the years. Our strategy is centered on 5 goals, and you can see those here. Those are around talent, industry, place, connectivity, and impact. In terms of the city's support, we do have a contract with the City of Longmont for economic development services. And again, those are to support this collective vision for our community's economic vitality. And we are working to provide services that strengthen Longmont's competitive position. We're working to market Longmont both nationally and globally, and I would also say locally, supporting the creation and retention of jobs, primarily and especially primary jobs, advancing opportunities for entrepreneurship and innovation, and really advocating for businesses throughout the community. And although we're working and our Advanced Longmont strategy is really focused on those 5 goals, our core services and our work plan is really focused in these 3 areas, and that's what I'm here to report to you tonight on. And I will say, you know, I've been in the position about 3 weeks now, so I will do my best to answer any questions that you might have as we go through these. The staff that's been consistent at LADP has been doing a great job while we've been getting fully staffed again. Some of the data isn't quite current, so hopefully by the next time I'm presenting to you for the second quarter, we'll have some additional data, but they did do a good job in putting this together. So the first area we'll talk about is talent. We have several objectives in talent. The first one we'll talk about is marketing and recruitment. And we are really looking at how do we market Longmont nationally and globally, particularly so we can increase and enhance our talent pipelines for those advanced Longmont target industries. We have adjusted our target industries, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But really what we're looking at is a number of KPIs around impressions, new users, clicks, view-through rates. I am not a marketing person, but we work closely with Avocet Communications, and they do a great job. We launched our new website in actually May of 2022, so we have a full year of data. What you're seeing here is for the first quarter, and you can see that we have almost 3.7 million campaign impressions, over 13,000 clicks from our ad campaign, and that's across multiple platforms. The top 5 user locations that we're targeting are LA, Denver, Phoenix, and Maryland. We have in the first quarter about 13,000 new website users. Over the year, it's close to 40,000. And the most visited pages that we see are work style, our homepage, and then our site selection services. And you can see what folks are searching for when they come to our website. And I will say overall, we're very pleased. We see a lot of increases in impressions and overall users over the past year. So we'll be continuing to work on that over the course of this year. Another thing that we're looking at in terms of talent is workforce perceptions. LADP conducts a workforce perception survey each year. So this data here is from 2022. We had 140 total responses. And you can see that in looking at 2022 compared to 2021, people have a slightly better perception on housing cost of living, and housing availability. But when you look at these rates, you can see we still obviously have work to do in this area, and that's, I'm not telling anyone in this council anything new, but those are extremely important for us as we think about supporting our industries and talent attraction. And so we'll be conducting this survey again this year, and we'll have data to report to you probably in the with the third quarter or fourth quarter update. When we look at talent intelligence data, we are looking at our outreach campaigns and how we help employers connect with their hiring process, again, thinking about keeping those talent pipelines in place. And so we're looking at questions on our Elevate Business Retention and Expansion Survey. We've added 27 questions related to talent. that help us see what businesses are looking for and some of those industry-specific insights. One of the things that we're really excited about is the Longmont Career Pathway platform, and I think Jessica may have mentioned that in one of her previous updates. To date, we've had over 500 people complete that questionnaire, and that's really going to help job applicants connect to employers that are looking for talent. As you can imagine, there are some challenges that employers face when looking at recruiting and retaining employees, and those are finding talent with skills that they need, attracting talent, and retaining talent. And so those are all areas that we're highly interested in and want to support our businesses. Continuing to support talent, how do we help businesses engage with local and regional education and training systems? When we're looking at this, we're really thinking about our partnerships with St. Vrain Valley School District, Front Range Community College, and Workforce Boulder County. And so as we look at that, we're looking at those direct connections between industry and talent partners. One of the exciting things that I have to report for the first quarter is that LEDP has submitted a grant to OEdit to really advance that Longmont Career Pathways platform, and we'll find out hopefully this month if we were successful. But this would really help us provide support for that platform, help us do outreach to businesses, and really, put Longmont on the map, so to speak, in terms of connecting job seekers to jobs in the community. So on summary, we think we're on track. Again, we have some additional data to collect, I think, as we go forward this year. But generally with talent, we feel that we're on track with marketing, workforce perceptions, data, and just generally supporting the talent systems that are needed. Shifting to industry, as I mentioned, we've updated our target industry clusters this year. And so you can see our new industry clusters are aerospace, bioscience, food and beverage production, IT software and hardware, and those are modified from what you may be used to seeing. So this is important because we're going to need to modify our marketing campaign. We'll need to take a look at some of our documentation and focus to better align with these new target industry clusters. But as we look at the first quarter, what I'll report on is sort of related to what we've had in the past. So we're really looking at how we support primary industry growth and looking at economic development incentives. And again, this is for attracting, retaining, and helping businesses expand. And we're looking at a goal of 10 primary businesses that would create 500 jobs and $50 million in new capital investment. So we continue to work with City Manager's office on the incentive policy. I know that is work that's been underway for some time, and I'm looking forward to continuing that and hopefully having some additional information to report to council at a future update. As we think about lead generation, we want to continue to generate work with primary industry prospects, again, to recruit and retain primary jobs in Longmont, and this is through a variety of sources. The data that we have here is through the fourth quarter of last year. We did have 26 primary industry prospect leads. We've had a couple come through this year, but we don't have that data reported here. As of the end of last year, LEDP was working with 14 total active prospects, which if all of those were realized, it would be about 4,800 new jobs. And so this is an area we'll continue to focus on this year and in the coming years. Our last objective in industry is really focused on business retention, which is critical. Obviously, our goal is to retain 100% of jobs and companies within Longmont. Unfortunately, we don't control the universe, so while that's our goal, it may not always be realistic, but we do aim to work closely with our businesses to make sure that we're responding to their needs. One of the ways that we do that is through our Elevate Longmont survey, and we've sent out surveys this year. We sent out quite a few more this year than last year, and I'm not entirely certain why, so that's something I need to figure out. But we've received 39 surveys to date, and we'll have a big push through May to increase our response rate. I believe our target response rate in our city contract is somewhere around 25%, so we have a little ways to go. But we will do some additional outreach over the coming month. And then the other thing that we'll look at doing later this year is setting up some industry roundtables to really give us some additional information and provide some context to the results that we're seeing in the survey. And I lied, there's actually one more industry objective, and that's around grants. So we work closely with the city and the DDA to deploy $60,000 in city-funded grants. while Innovate Longmont was dissolved last year, we are still partnering on retail conversion grants, and we do have a number of other grant programs that folks are still interested in. So we're going to be taking stock of what the objectives of these grant funds are, how we can best leverage resources and provide the support that businesses need. So that's something that we'll be able to report on, hopefully at a future update. And again, in looking at our industry objectives, we do feel like we're on track, again, with some of those additional study that we're going to be doing on some of our programs. In terms of impact, as I've mentioned, we are really the collective backbone for Advanced Longmont 2.0, and we provide support to the strategic initiatives that are under the umbrella of the strategic plan and work closely with our economic partners. In the past, we've had a lot of support meetings this year with staff changes and transitions. We have had 4 support meetings. We have piloted an initiative proposal form. One of the things that we're taking a look at is what's the most effective way to support community members that may come forward with ideas and to engage with the Advanced Longmont 2.0 steering committee. So we're taking a bit of a look at this, and we'll be making some adjustments with this. The current initiatives that LADP is involved in or has recently been involved in are the Early Childhood Alliance, and I think this is a really great example of how an initiative can sort of start and then grow. And I think we're, happy to say that this initiative no longer needs LADP's support in the way that it previously did, and it sounds like it's moving forward in a great way. We're also still working closely with Prosper Longmont on attainable housing and supporting efforts in the River District. There may be other initiatives that come forward through our conversations with the community and our conversations with the Advanced Longmont economic partners, or conversations with our board, investors, or even city council. We do maintain a collective data dashboard that tracks community metrics, and so this is available to anyone in the community. This was launched last year and can be viewed on our website, so this provides a lot of really great demographic information on our community and information that businesses may look at as they're looking at whether or not they might like to locate in Longmont. So if you haven't had a chance to take a look at that, it's continuously updated and provides some really fantastic information about Longmont. And then our final impact objective is really around our Leadership Council. We hope to grow our Leadership Council to 40 members, and this is really a group of folks that represent a diverse cross-section of private sector expertise. And this is really all about that collective issue identification and problem solving. So we're really lucky to have 31 members as of the end of 2022, and are hoping to engage even more private sector folks in this leadership council. One example of a project that they funded is that Early Childhood Alliance industry assessment consultant, which provided some much needed data for that initiative. So we do think we're on track. Again, some work to do to kind of retool, see where we're at, and see where we might make some changes, but we do believe we're on track based on what the contract calls for. And I'll sort of end with just some quarterly economic indicators. I know people really like to look at data, as do I. And so this is as of the fourth quarter, unless indicated, some of it's a bit more current, but you can see our gross regional product is just about $8.7 billion. Total regional employment at the end of 2022 is almost 58,000, and that's up a bit from the third quarter. Employment growth is 3.8% as compared to the previous 5-year period. Our labor force is about 58,000, and the year-over-year change in our labor force is about 1.8%. Unemployment rate as of February of this year is 3.1%. And then the final piece of data that we'll look at is around housing and residential real estate. Again, this is probably not something that council has not seen, but something we're very interested in at LADP. You can see our median housing price has crossed that $600,000 mark, and that is up from last year when it was just under $600,000. I will note that although I think those prices are somewhat staggering for a lot of us who have been in the community a while, we still are the most affordable community in Boulder County, which helps when we're looking at attracting businesses to Longmont. And then you can see in terms of residential real estate market, 74 homes were sold in March of 2023, and there's an inventory of 174. And those are both down a little bit from the last time we reported this, but still, as we're comparing to some of our neighbors, pretty strong. And then finally, I'll close with office and industrial. I don't know that this was presented to council before, but my employees included this slide in the presentation, so I'm showing it to you. I think that we continue to look at what the availability of space is. We have a couple larger properties that are going to be coming online, which may be absorbed in the near future, which could impact this. So we'll be taking a close look at this. And with that, I will end my remarks and attempt to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, Aaron, can you go back 2 slides? This one. When you look at the total inventory that Longmont has, when people say we're not building, we're not making houses, this shows that we are moving along. And that compared to the other cities in Boulder County, other than Boulder, we're doing pretty well, and we keep plugging along at the inventory of housing. So I think that's really important for industry to know, as well as our residents, that we are constantly attacking the affordability. So thank you, but we have Councilor Martin.
Yes, this is going to take you back a long way, but could you return to the slide about the industry focus areas, the one that has changed? Okay, you didn't really say much, but I'm interested in what the rationale for the change is. I mean, obviously, these are regional industry focus areas that we have here, but what drove the change in definitions? Because it especially on the left, it is a recategorization of what was there.
Mayor Pitt, Councilmember Martin, you are correct. And for those that may not be as familiar, our former target industry clusters were smart manufacturing, food and beverage, business catalyst, and knowledge creation and deployment. And so this is a bit of a shift, although there is some relation. And I think it's important to say just because something might not be one of our target industry clusters doesn't mean we're not interested in it, doesn't mean we don't have a concentration and that we're not supporting those types of businesses. So I do want to just mention that. I think this is a refinement. You mentioned that there's a lot of interest in some of these. So aerospace is a really good example. We've seen an increased interest regionally, nationally in aerospace. And I think there's a lot of companies that are providing support. And so as we look at our target industries, it's where is there a concentration, what opportunities might be there, and then what kind of support or indirect businesses that are related to these target industries might there be. So I'll be completely transparent that this was done prior to me arriving at LEDP, and I need to do a little bit more looking at the data. But this is based off of taking a look at, again, where are those opportunities, where are those businesses that there might be an affinity for kind of co-location and support services. And then also, where are some of those support systems, so where is St. Vrain and Front Range focusing programs? And I think there's a lot of alignment, for example, with some of St. Vrain's P-TECH programs. And that really speaks to some of that workforce development and talent pipeline and really those opportunities for collaboration with some of our partners.
Yes, and part B of my question is actually about that, specifically about Front Range, and we had a close alignment with them on the advanced manufacturing focus area. There's a little bit of uncertainty, disruption going on in the Front Range organization right now. Not necessarily that it's bad. I don't know if it's good or bad. I just could see it from the outside. But I do wonder whether the changes that are going on there are taken into account on this, or whether they should be, and whether it's in your plans, because you've only been here 3 weeks, to talk with them and make sure that we maintain our alignment with them?
The short answer is yes. Whether or not any of those things factored into the adaptation of our target industries, I can't speak to. But certainly, LEDP has a vested interest in making sure that we maintain strong relationships with all of our economic partners, including Front Range. And so I know there have been some transitions, but we're definitely interested in moving forward, seeing how we can support them, and then, what additional input they may have into not only this, but all of our work. So that's certainly something that's on my list.
Counselor Waters?
Thanks, Mayor Peck. First of all, welcome home. Nice to see you back. Remind us, you made reference to the city contract. What's the number in that contract that the city pays LEDP as one of your investors?
Mayor Peck, Councilmember Waters, the contract for 2023 is for $400,000 paid over the course of the year.
What's your estimated top-line revenues for 2023?
With our investments, we really look at that over a 3-year period, and we're estimating about 1.1 to 1.2 million in private investments.
In that 3-year or
in
this
that
year?
3-year period, yeah. So about 400,000. So we kind of like to say we get about half of our investment from the city and
That's where I
half
was
from the
going.
private sector.
The 400,000 leverages 400,000.
Absolutely. I think we wouldn't be as successful with our private investments without the city's investment. So we definitely appreciate that.
I think the community needs to hear it over and over again. That's a big number in a contract. It's doubled or more as a result of what you do with it. The follow-on question is, what are the benefits to the city as a result of what you do with that money? Now, some of that showed up in here in terms of some of the data.
Yeah, that's a good question, and probably something I need to kind of figure out how to articulate in a quick way. But I think really what we're focused on are these deliverables from our contract. And so, some cities do focus on having economic development in-house. I think our model is unique because we are able to leverage that private investment to really do more with the funds the city gives us. And so a lot of that is around marketing Longmont nationally and even globally, which really does help to strengthen our position. We respond to prospects. We work closely with, folks in the northern part of the metro area as well as Metro Denver EDC on looking at prospects and positioning Longmont. We advocate for entrepreneurs, primary employers. We also are able to work closely with the city to offer some different perspectives, as you're considering policies, as you're considering different ordinances. I think, the work that Prosper is doing is a really good example of how a group of business owners can come together to really look at how we're able to advocate for attainable housing, which really impacts our workforce. And I think we're hearing that a lot from businesses. So I think that's kind of a concrete example of how LEDP is positioning themselves to work with the city as well as private industries to help make progress towards a common goal. And I'm sure there's lots of other examples, but I would say that's really the unique position that we play to bring those two sectors together.
So the follow-on question is, who are the beneficiaries? And you just kind of ran down a list. The city, us, large employers or primary employers, entrepreneurs. I mean, there are a number of categories of beneficiaries from the work that gets done. To what degree do your board members benefit directly from their service on your board?
Councilmember Waters, that's an interesting question. I don't, there's certainly not a direct, our board members aren't compensated.
I think that's important for people to hear.
Yeah. I think our board members benefit in that many of them are business owners, employees at a minimum, or employers in Longmont. And so I think they benefit from our efforts in that if Longmont's economy is strong, if we're able to recruit and retain talent, if we're able to expand businesses, our tax base increases, their ability to attract and retain employees increase. So I think there's a benefit to them that's a shared benefit to, all businesses in Longmont, really. I don't know that, I guess potentially they have access to each other. That's a benefit. And certainly folks that are on our Aspire Leadership Council, we do set aside a portion of their investment that can be then directed back towards different initiatives. And so they have a say in some of that. So some of our investors do benefit in that they're able to direct funding to certain initiatives that the community has deemed important and that the investors have deemed important.
So they, they specifically, from one another, benefit from shared experience, new insights, learning from strategies that others have used successfully, that kind of collaboration.
Absolutely.
Dynamic. In addition to the rising tide, right, raising all the boats in town. This is not a group that's self-serving.
I would say that's correct.
They sacrifice. They give up their own time away from their businesses to do the work that you've described to help raise those boats. Is that a fair statement?
I think it's fair, and I think if you go back to that, one of those initial slides, we all succeed in Longmont when we all succeed. And so really the board is dedicating their time and expertise and money through their investment to ensure that our economy continues growing, that people continue prospering, and that we are creating an inclusive ecosystem to continue to support businesses, employees, and frankly, all community members in Longmont.
The last comment I would make is you made reference to moving beyond, or the Early Childhood Alliance moving beyond the support of LEDP. I want to say not quite so fast. That initiative is making progress in ways that it has to make progress to at least achieve a status that gives the public a chance to decide how much they want to embrace it. To get there, ultimately, that group is going to really need the support of LEDP and groups like business groups across Boulder County. So don't cut it loose just yet.
Yeah, and I shouldn't have said it that way.
Your point is, you were part of the catalyst. LEDP was part of the catalyst. Got started because of the council, right? It was a
Right.
council goal. But LEDP's embracing of this made a big difference in terms of giving focus, some support in terms of the backbone and the facilitation. I don't know that we would be where we are. The grant that came from the lead group, was the Aspire group, all really mattered at key times. So it's the effort of a whole lot of folks. LEDP has been a critical part of that. I'm just saying, we're not ready to fly. We don't have wings fully developed yet, and we're going to need LEDP's support.
Yeah, and I think it continues to be a priority, certainly for businesses, not only in Longmont, but frankly throughout the state, based on everything we've been seeing in the news lately. So yes, we are still committed to helping support this initiative.
Seeing no one else in the queue, I want to thank you, but I also want to say that I think you have a fan in Counselor Waters. He's a very big fan.
Well, I'm really looking forward to working with council in this new capacity, and certainly if any of you have thoughts or ideas, would love to brainstorm with you, and really do look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Erin. Now we are at public invited to be heard. So I'll say once again, we need your name and address, and you have 3 minutes. The first one on the list is Georgetta Johnston.
Good evening, City Council and Mayor and City Council, and thank you for letting me talk. And I have some good things to say again. Sometimes I just wish I had the wisdom of a 90-year-old, the body of a 20-year-old, and the energy of a 3-year-old, don't you? Don't let anyone who hasn't been in your shoes tell you how to tie your shoes. Your laces. And then another one, there is someone always there for you. Guess what? The laundry. So I want to thank you. Did I say my address? Georgetta Johnston, 320 Homestead Parkway, number 202, Longmont, Colorado. It's Spring Creek Apartments. Wonderful, I love them. So anyway, what I want to say is I did see the Times Call paper about the indoor skating rink, that you're thinking about it and working on it. Lord bless you, Lord bless you, Lord bless you, for ice hockey and for the youth, because we want good things for this youth. And maybe we'll even indoor roller skating, because, that's good. And then I'm still troubled over the streets and the roads and what's going on about not fixing them or better. It's because I like the city of Longmont. I want you to do a good job. That's why I come to support you, but also I want a good city myself. And also the buffet, we still need buffets. And better clothing stores. And then I thought of another situation that I go to the the Oktoberfest, and myself, I used to take my great-grandchildren, and I always go off and on, and I feel like we do a lot of breweries, which I think we need to get more funner things for the youth. And another thing is the River on the Rhythm. That's another one too that we focus a lot on, breweries. And I feel like it's got a lot of nice things, fun things. I go to see people visit right on the bus because I like Longmont. I do go to the senior center. I just went today with my computer. I took classes, working on myself being a good elderly lady, that I'm getting older and precious. And then also, I would like to say also that the police department, how nice of you, how nice of you. My husband was a police chaplain, and he used to get called all hours of the night, did all kinds of wonderful things, besides on the senior board, the economical board, all those wonderful things. So I just want to say that I'm praying for you and that I want you to do a wonderful job because we want a good city, you know, and we need all these wonderful things that I'm talking about to make it a good city. And Lord bless you and keep doing a wonderful job. And thank you for letting me talk. And when I talk, there are people that talk to me from all over the place. Walmart or different places keep talking. So, and we want good housing, fair housing, and things that, you know, treat us good as Americans. And of course, we care about people, show kindness, caring. We're all special people. Lord bless you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jordana.
You're welcome.
So Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez usually handles the timer for me, so we are playing with it a little bit. You try. Okay, thank you. Cody Fung.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Cody Fung, and I live at 4216 Redmond Drive, Longmont, Colorado. And I'm here today to present my capstone project, Cody's Toy Box. My project involves giving toys to children at the Rocky Mountain Hospital for Children, and it's specifically for the children going through chemotherapy and other cancer-related treatments. I'm doing this through toy donations from the Longmont community. And as a former cancer patient myself, I can say that my experience being a cancer patient was quite difficult. I'd go to Denver once a week and stay for the entire week, and I'd usually not feel good the entire time. One thing that could definitely be said, though, that helped me during chemo was having something to do, some kind of toy, something to draw with. And I think it was really helpful for my mental health and my journey as a whole. It gave me something to focus on whenever I wasn't feeling the best, and it made chemo go by just a little bit faster. Because of this, I strive to help others with their own battles. I may have won mine, but there are so many other children that are still fighting, and I think an optimistic attitude and a fun toy or art project can be the thing that lifts someone's spirit so they can beat cancer. So far, I've done 3 toy deliveries, all of which went very well. The first one got over 100 toys, from all sorts of different people. Each delivery meant a lot to the child life staff as as the donations would go to making someone going through a really rough time in their life a little bit better. I'm hoping that I can continue this project every June, as June was the month I was diagnosed, and I feel it'd be a good way to honor the people that literally saved my life and make some patients that are going through some of the worst days of their own lives a little bit better. Thank you very much, and have a good evening.
Thank you, Cody. Gabriella Schultz.
Hello, City Council members. My name is Gabrielle Schultz. My address is 4901 Nelson Road, Longmont, Colorado. This past year, I've been working on a capstone project for SCLA. My project is called Mini Medics First Aid for 3rd and 4th grade. I chose this project because it is important to me when it comes to helping and caring for others. I have also been interested in the medical career path for quite some time now. For this project, I taught elementary students the importance of first aid. I met with these kids once a month, and during each lesson, we learned many aspects of first aid by playing games, doing activities, watching videos, and practicing these first aid skills. Some of the first aid skills we learned over the past year included emergency numbers, how to deal with scrapes and splints, what to do when it comes to choking and seizures, and how to perform CPR. My goal was for these kids to know what to do in case of a medical emergency. There are many times where kids are left home alone, or they are left with a sibling and a medical emergency may occur. Even if they were left for just 1 second, these kids can save lives because they know first aid. My biggest accomplishment from this project was hearing how much these kids learned over the past year, which made me nothing but proud. During one of the last lessons, they drew a picture of their favorite thing that they learned during this past year, and it made me happy to see what they were getting out of these lessons. My mentor, Lee Levesque, has been a huge help with this project by showing me the importance of first aid and giving me ideas of how to share that with these kids. Next year, I plan on becoming a nurse at the University of Colorado at Colorado Springs, so I thought this project was a perfect fit for me. I think this project has a positive impact on our community because it teaches these kids first aid skills that could potentially save lives. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to interrupt just for a moment to announce that Councilman Sean McCoy has joined us. Welcome. The next person is Natalia Toledo.
Hi, good evening, City Council members. My name is Natalia Toledo. My address is 4901 Nelson Road, Longmont, Colorado. Throughout this academic year, I have built off a program called Cafecito at Silver Creek High School. This program works to construct a bridge over the language barrier for Latinos. As someone who comes from a Hispanic household where English is not spoken, I have faced numerous challenges throughout my life in terms of community integration, particularly at school. I started school initially only speaking Spanish and found it very difficult to fit in. Asking for help, making friends, and adapting to the school environment were all significant challenges that motivated me to support families in my school's community who face similar struggles, and making them feel more welcome and connected to Silver Creek High School. My capstone project aims to reduce the gap between the Latino community and the Silver Creek community one step at a time. During each meeting, parents received all the necessary information about upcoming events and how they could help their children succeed. Meanwhile, students would receive a presentation on upcoming deadlines, events, and grade checks. Additionally, students would have a cultural piece that linked to the certain month. For instance, during October, we had a meeting themed around Dia de los Muertos. These meetings have not only assisted parents, but have helped teachers in contacting parents since parents feel more at ease communicating with teachers. Despite encountering several setbacks during the course of my project, we have witnessed many more positives, including an increase in number of participating families. Our first meeting, held in August, saw only about 5 families attend. However, at our final meeting last week, almost 27 different families showed up. My project has also included translating during school events, teaching staff at Silver Creek how to help bridge the gap between the two communities, and mentoring students at our school. Now 17 and fully bilingual, I hope to continue building the bridge over the language barrier next fall at CSU Pueblo, where I will be studying exercise science and playing soccer for the school. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalia. The next person is Isabel Martinez.
Good evening, City Council members. I'm Isabel Martinez and my address is 4901 Nelson Road, Longmont, Colorado. This year I worked on my project called Meals on Wheels with my mentor, Annie Christofferson, the client service coordinator within the organization. I got to proudly partner with this locally managed organization right here in Longmont, Colorado. This nonprofit serves hot, healthy meals to communities throughout Longmont and Niwot to clients who are struggling to prepare meals for themselves on a daily basis. This organization has reached over 3 million hot meals to older citizens and disabled community right in my hometown. My project focused on the common sense of celebration and festivity through the joy of gift giving throughout a handful of holidays throughout this year. It took lots of communication and attention to details to make this project happen. Gift giving is a love language that spreads and establishes connections between people. This year, I used funding from the Silver Creek Leadership Academy and obtained money from the locally funded donation by our community at Silver Creek. I was able to create over 1,500 goodie bags throughout this year with the help of SCLA seniors and freshmen. The involvement included Halloween bags, Valentine's cards, and St. Patrick's Day, which included treats with each holiday. With the gifts that were made, I proudly represented the SCLA Foundation and connected with our WISE community. Wisdom and knowledge comes from those who came before us. I'm thankful for the opportunity and direction to have been able to spread hope one meal at a time. My future plans are to attend St. Thomas Aquinas College in New York next year as a Division II softball student athlete. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabrielle. No, you're Isabel. Jules Wanderer. Jules, can you pull that microphone up? You're a little bit taller than the last person. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Jules Wanderer. My address is 4901 Nelson Road, Longmont, Colorado. Throughout my life, I have traveled to multiple struggling but culturally rich countries. These experiences have contributed to my belief that we all have a responsibility to work together to create a more equitable and prosperous future. My Silver Creek Leadership Academy capstone reflects this desire, aiming to raise awareness for and to aid two such countries, the Nepali community and the Tanzanian community, doing such through an internship, website, and volunteer work abroad. I began the process of applying for an internship position in the summer leading up to my senior year. This consisted of establishing a presence on Indeed and LinkedIn, creating a curricular vitae, and preparing for the interview process. After interviewing for and subsequently being accepted for an internship position at Homali, I began learning about corporate philanthropy, as well as learning about brand awareness tactics. I also had the opportunity to learn and write about the issues that the Nepali community and its Sherpas are currently facing and the organizations that are helping. In the winter of 2022, I traveled to Africa with the GIVE organization. There, I connected with the African people and culture, taught English to the Maasai tribe, helped build a school, learned Kiswahili, and also climbed Mount Kilimanjaro with local guides. Connecting my internship and volunteer work together, I developed a website to create awareness for the Nepali and Tanzanian communities. My website also gave an overview of my capstone project, its current progress, and upcoming events. To learn more about my capstone and to help the Nepali community, visit my website by scanning the QR code that I'll show at the end of this speech. City Council members, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jules. Brett Stockwell. Oh, you have the QR code. Okay. Oops. Too.
Do you need it back, or can you give it to Ms. Quintana?
Thank you. Brett Stockwell.
There you go. Good evening, council members. My name is Brett Stockwell, and my address is 4901 Nelson Road, Longmont, Colorado. Over the course of my senior year, I've been lucky enough to work with my mentor, Mr. Kribbe, on a program he started 8 years ago at Westview Middle School called Plains to the Park. Plains to the Park is a scientific research program that offers students the opportunity to learn hands-on in Horseshoe Park and Rocky Mountain National Park by collecting data from trail cams and learning about the wildlife of these places. Working on this project was an incredible experience for me. On our monthly trips to the parks, my role was to assist Mr. Kirby as well as lead discussions about the nature of the parks. Once we got back from the trips, I also got to go over the footage with the kids. This was a super fun experience, and it helped me understand how to effectively engage students. As someone who has always loved nature and grew up in Colorado, I have a deep appreciation for the beauty and complexity of the natural world. I've spent a lot of time exploring the Rockies, and I've always been captivated by the plants and animals that live there. When Ms. Cohn told me about the Plains to the Park program, I was immediately intrigued. The idea of combining my love and passion for nature with my ability to help communicate this with kids seemed like the perfect fit. I could think of nothing better than sharing my enthusiasm for the natural world with the next generation of scientists and conservationists. Overall, I am proud to have been a part of this project, and I'm glad I got to share what I've learned with all of you today. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Brett. And that is the end of the capstone kids. Congratulations and good luck to all of you. The next one on our list is Lance Whitaker.
Had to write it down today.
Ooh, this should be interesting.
Well, I didn't want to forget this particular group. My name is Lance Whitaker. I live at 1750 Collier Street, Longmont, Colorado. I've been a resident for over 40 years now. Mayor and council, today is Homefront Heroes Day. National Homefront Heroes Day, National Butterscotch Brownie Day, and if you need to, you can wash it all down with Moscato Day. I'm here in support of House Bill 191230. As you all know, I would like you all to please read that law and understand that I'm not the only business looking forward to an ordinance for this law. Thank you and have a good day. Oh, and as a gardener, please disregard the dirty hat. I've been playing around in the garden all day, doing some composting in the worm hut and the chicken noodle coop. Yep, that's right. I named it the chicken noodle coop. You guys have a nice day and enjoy your composting.
Thank you, Lance. Polly Christensen.
Mayor Peck and members of council. My name is Polly Christensen. My address is 410 Judson Street, Longmont, Colorado. I'm here to speak about the Fair Campaign Practices Act to remove references to post office boxes. The Fair Campaign Practices Act was a citizen initiative, and it was about transparency and fairness. And it had an oversight panel. Shortly after the Fair Campaign Practices was passed, a new council was elected and they immediately eliminated the oversight panel. Attempts have been made ever since to neuter this ordinance. Allowing people to use a mailing address, a post office box, instead of a verifiable primary residence voting street address was yet another step in diminishing this law. It has been said that people who want to keep their address private in public documents should be able to do that. Not when they're giving money. Secrecy in funding is the very essence of corruption. Without knowing someone's street address, not mailing address, the voters of Longmont have no idea who is funding these campaigns. Anyone can get a mailing post office box anywhere in America and remain anonymous. Allowing this undermines democracy. It has been said that sometimes people who appear to speak before council do not give their address. They should. this is usually unintentional on their part because they are nervous. Here's the difference. It's unintentional, and they are not sending you money for your campaign. If your donors are too ashamed or embarrassed to make public their name and address and where they live, then they should not be sending you money. Thank you.
Thank you, Polly. Steve Altschuler?
Sorry, I've missed a few weeks.
We
Steve-
missed you.
Steve Altschuler, 1555 Taylor Drive, Longmont, Colorado. By coincidence, I also wanted to put in my 2 cents about the PO address for donations. I am absolutely against it. There is no transparency. And, you know, somebody could make 27 different donations using different PO boxes. It's just, it reeks of corruption. Second thing I want to talk about is I spent today cleaning up the yard at a rental property in Broomfield. There were weeds that were knee-high, trash was everywhere. In the past, I've received letters from the city about the trash because my tenant has not been keeping the place clean like he's supposed to, and the city threatened to send out a cleaning crew and then bill me. The rent of this place is about $400 a month below what I could be getting, but I try to keep my rents lower so I have fewer problems. I walked through the house recently. There were 4 broken blinds, 5 hollow core doors had holes in them from both elbows and feet from those heights. There's trash inside blocking the hallway, which I had to tell him was a fire danger. There was one whole bathroom that was unusable due to trash. Walls were covered with dirt. I estimated about $6,000 to clean up the place with only a $2,000 security deposit. So I know by the time he's out, I'm going to be upside down. I tell you all this because when you talk about renters' rights and things like that, there's a lot of times that the landlords need to have some rights too. You need to hear both sides of the story. Undoubtedly, I'll be blamed when I evict him, which I must do before the city disallows evictions altogether. On a third note, I want to talk about crime. Nothing is more important to everyone in Longmont than crime, actually crime prevention. The only way to stop crime is to have appropriate punishment. All cities that have had criminal reform laws have seen a huge increase in crime and repeat offenders. Lowering felonies to misdemeanors does not work. Some say prisons do not reform many criminals. Maybe not. But fear of prison will make many reconsider their actions, and anyone in jail is unable to commit more crimes while in a jail cell. And finally, I just want you to know, because you brought this up, I volunteer with the Boulder County Republicans, and every year we put on a barbecue to honor the police during this police week. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Steve. Paul Tiger? No, I was calling the next person, but I do not see him here. So we'll move on to Strider Benston.
Thank you. Strider Benston, 951 West 17th. I was a member of the Longmont Election Commission, or whatever the name was, and some of the council who got elected by those undisclosed out-of-state contributions, the very first meeting abolished the election commission so that we could not further investigate what was going on. Dan Bernard was one of the members who spoke with me that night. So a quote from some major person: "Those who do not know history are condemned to repeat it." And be aware that today, Michelle Goldberg's column, Timothy McVeigh's dreams are coming true. Timothy McVeigh was a member of the Ku Klux Klan, and he's the one that blew up the Merrill Building in Oklahoma City and killed at least 168 people. And one of the points behind that was to get people used to the idea of more bombings, more killings, more guns. Every time we have more gun massacres, then they sell more guns, and that is policy. That is exactly the point. Allen, Texas, and the guy who killed the people in El Paso came from Allen, Texas, and murdered up a large number of people in a Walmart in El Paso. And I hate to be redundant on this, but it's like there's hardly ever any days, and certainly no weeks, without more gun massacres. And one political organization says, oh, the answer for more gun massacres is to always make sure more people are carrying guns. And that's where it comes from. So let me just, and on the history side, not only is the state of Florida abolishing history, but Tennessee and Georgia and Arizona and other states, well, Woodland Park, Colorado, just put in a new school board to abolish history in that area. So be aware, and you got to read Harry Belafonte's book, my friend. I mean, there is so much to learn, and I hope we have more people knowing history in this world. Thank you.
Thank you, Strider. And that is the last person on the list, so I'm going to close public invited to be heard, first call. We are now on to our consent agenda. So, Dawn, would you mind reading the consent agenda into the record?
Absolutely, Mayor. The ordinances on this agenda will be set for second reading and public hearing on May 23rd, 2023. 9A is ordinance 2023-22, a bill for an ordinance making additional appropriations for expenses and liabilities of the City of Longmont for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2023. 9B is resolution 2023-46, a resolution of the Longmont City Council approving the intergovernmental agreement between the City of Longmont, County of Boulder, the cities of Boulder, Lafayette, and Louisville, and the Town of Superior for the Keep It Clean Partnership Plan. 9C is resolution 2023-47, a resolution of the Longmont City Council approving the amendment to the intergovernmental agreement between the City of Longmont and the Colorado Department of Human Services, Office of Behavioral Health for Contract Amendment 05 for original contract number 21 IHJA 160883 for Longmont Public Safety's LEAD program. Item 9D is resolution 2023-48, a resolution of the Longmont City Council approving contract amendment 1 of the intergovernmental agreement between the city and the state of Colorado, Department of Human Services, Office of Behavioral Health for the co-responder program. 9E is resolution 2023-49, a resolution of the Longmont City Council approving the grant from the Colorado Department of Local Affairs for grant funding for the Peace Officer Behavioral Health Support and Community Partnerships Program. And 9F is adopt the 2023-2024 Water Supply and Water Shortage Implementation Plan.
Thank you, Dawn. There any counselors that want to pull anything from the agenda? Counselor Martin?
No, I just moved the consent agenda.
Oh, okay.
Second.
Okay, so the consent agenda has been moved by Counselor Martin, seconded by Counselor Hidalgo-Ferring. Let's vote. That carries unanimously. So we have one ordinance on second reading. It is 2023-21. It's a bill for an ordinance amending Chapter 15.04, Section 15.04.020, Table 15.04020, Table of all allowed uses of the Longmont Municipal Code. Are there any questions from council on this ordinance? Seeing none, I'm going to open it up to public hearing. Is there anybody that wants to speak on this ordinance? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing. Can I have a motion? So Counselor Martin, Counselor Waters moved ordinance 2023-21, seconded by Counselor Martin. Let's vote. There were no items removed from the consent agenda, and Counselor McCoy, I augmented the agenda at the beginning to remove general business item, Fair Campaign Practices Act, so that we have a full council to discuss that.
Mayor, I'm sorry, would you mind reading the result of that last vote? Just
Oh,
for the
that would be
public?
good, huh?
Thank you.
So, ordinance 2023-21 passed unanimously. Okay, we are now at final call, public invited to be heard. Is there anybody from the public that would like to address the council? Seeing none, I'll close final call, public invited to be heard. Mayor and council comments. Councilor McCoy.
Well, two things. Thank you, Mayor Peck. My daughter Claire, I was not able to attend, but my daughter Claire McCoy Pritchard was the second graduating class from the Silver Creek Leadership Academy in 2014. And she went to the Evening of Excellence and reported back to me that it was an amazing night and she learned a lot and the kids were just wonderful, and she brought back a lot of nostalgic feelings. And then I also really enjoyed working at the Multicultural Action Committee booth at our amazing Cinco de Mayo cultural event. And I have somewhat of the scars to prove it because I forgot to put any sort of sunscreen on, left my hat in the car, and now I had a blister on my nose. So, so one learns the slow way sometimes. So anyhow.
Proof that you were there.
Proof I was there.
Counselor Waters.
Thanks, Mayor Peck. Councilmember McCoy, once you get a perfect haircut, you'll never go out without a hat. I can guarantee you that. You don't have to learn it very many times. I also just would do a high five to all the organizers of the Cinco de Mayo celebration. It was, I haven't been every year, but I've been every year since I've been on council. And a few years before, I don't think I've ever seen a crowd and a turnout like this. It was pretty remarkable. And I am going to comment, without getting into the substance of the ordinance that we're going to take up. I'll look forward to that debate. But when I think I did hear from a comment about people using whatever address they use, somehow there being a lack of accountability or transparency. Every report that we submit has the name of a donor and whether their address is a street address, and it has been, it's no longer allowed, and I'm down with that, I'm fine, with an email account or a post office box. But it's got a name tied to it, and it's on the it's on the candidate's responsibility. We're accountable to make certain that by name, no individual donates to a campaign more than what the ordinance allows. So whatever the perception is, that somehow it's some list of P.O. boxes with no accountability for who makes donations, that is simply false. That's not true. And the responsibility and accountability rests with the people sitting here and whoever else was in the race. Those are open records. Anybody can come file a complaint or ask a question, and we're accountable to the clerk. And it is all in the light of day. So whatever the perception is, the truth is there's a high degree of accountability, regardless of what the address is, and it's by name, not by post office box.
Councilor Hidalgo Faring.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to echo what our council members had stated around Cinco de Mayo. I was there this weekend in two capacities. One as city council member volunteering, as well as Vice President of the Teachers Association with our St. Vrain Valley Education Association tent and booth. We had a wonderful turnout of educators who thoroughly enjoyed it. I have gone every year, I mean, since we've been here, when my kids were little. They're now in their 20s. But to see how much it's grown over the years is amazing. And it's very exciting to hear, to see Juneteenth first year last summer. And I'm really excited to see how that will look in 20 years from now. And so, and we will have a booth there as well. So, thank you.
So that ends the council remarks. City manager?
I do actually have a remark. So to Councilmember Waters' question, June 20th-ish, we can't get into Microsoft Project right now, but we think that's a time frame, and it is all coming together as a package.
Great. Great. City attorney remarks.
No comments, Mayor.
Can I have a motion to adjourn? All right, it's been moved by Councilor Martin, seconded by Councilor Waters to adjourn. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. That passes unanimously. Thank you. Good evening.